Let's take a look at the explicit linear model. So we are given P sub n equals P sub 0 plus dn. This is similar to y equals mx plus b. It is a simple linear model that we're working with. Now the n is the independent variable, and it stands for the number of the term that you're looking at. Therefore, P sub 0 is the term, the 0th term, so that's the initial term. And d is the common difference, and it's similar to the slope. So, example, we have P sub n equals 4 plus 2n. We're asked to find P sub 0. Now, basically, if we just let n equal 0, then P sub 0 would be 4 plus 2 times 0. So we're just plugging in 0 for n to find P sub 0. And this just works out to be 4. So this is the first term of this linear growth model. Now the d itself, the d is the coefficient, including the sign, of the n variable. In this case, we have positive 2. So d equals 2. Now, what this means is that our first term would be 4, and then d is the common difference, and it's positive. So we would actually have for this one, would be a sequence 4, 6, 8, 10, etc. This is an add 2 sequence. Okay, continuing with the next example, P sub n equals negative 3n. If we plug in 0 for n, negative 3 times 0 is 0. And if we look at the coefficient of n, we will see that it's negative 3. So d is negative 3. Now this sequence would be 0 and then subtract 3 and then subtract 3 and then subtract 3, etc. Excellent. Next example, P sub n equals negative 7. To find P sub 0, we would replace the n with 0, but there is no n. Since there is no n, nothing changes this constant value of negative 7, and the first term is just negative 7. The d value is the coefficient of n, but since there's no n, like, well, what is it? There actually is an invisible n term. It's 0 times n. And if you can understand that or visualize that in this case, you could see that d is actually 0. And so this sequence would be negative 7 and then plus 0, negative 7, negative 7, negative 7, etc. This is a constant sequence. All right, now go ahead and pause the video and see if you can answer these questions, and bonus, see if you can write out the first few terms of the sequence. But before you do, this next example is a copy, so I'd like you to replace it with 3n minus 5 if your notes don't have this new addition. Okay, go ahead and work those out. What you should get for P sub 0 is negative 5, and the d value is 3, and the sequence would be negative 5, negative 2, 1, 4, etc. For the next one, P sub 0 is negative 4, and d is negative 2/7. This sequence is a little harder. It starts nicely, but then how do you subtract negative 2/7? If I treat 4, negative 4, in terms of sevenths, it would be negative 28/7. And then it's a little easier to subtract 2. So the next one would be negative 30/7, then negative 32 sevenths, and negative 34 sevenths. That would be one way to write that. I wouldn't want to go to decimal places because then you'd have approximation errors. All right, I hope this helps.